Welcome. So last time we worked on removing an item from the inventory, and we still have a couple more operations to add, like the ability to move an item and splitting an item also. But before we do that, I thought let's take a break from coding a little bit and let's do some UI stuff. So I'm gonna go to the engine. Alright, in here I'm just gonna make a new folder. Let's call it UI. And inside of UI I'm gonna make a new folder. I'm gonna call this slot. That's gonna be our item slot. We need a slot to hold the item icon and all that stuff to display on the screen. So let's work on that. So I'm going to make a new blueprint class and find the widget. Actually, a user widget. Alright, and I'm gonna call this WBP for widget blueprint and call it inventory slot. Great, now we have our slots. And first thing I'm gonna do is add a let's do a size box. Okay, and let's override this. I'm gonna do a size of let's say 60 and set this to desired. That's our widget slot. Now let's add an overlay. So we can put stuff on top. Alright, now we got an overlay. And I'm going to add an image. That's going to be the background image for the slot. So line like this. Great. I'm just going to change its color, make it dark. Alright. And let's rename this to something like a slot background image. Because later we'll make a C++ class instead of just using a generic user widget, and we'll bind to these things so that we can change them in the C++. Okay, so now we have a background image. I'm going to add another overlay on top of this overlay. I'm going to add another image. Okay, let's do this and that. Great. This one is going to be, let's rename it. Now let's add some icon to this. So you can go on the Unreal Marketplace and find some free assets, like free item icons and stuff to use. So I have a few paid ones that I'm gonna use, but feel free to use whatever you have. Okay, I've just imported my icons. Then I'm gonna set this image and use a default image for it. So let's do brush and find the ocean. I'm going to use this one. Great, that's looking nice already. So it's just the icon on top of the black background that we made earlier. I'm going to add another overlay. And in this overlay I'm going to add a text box. Let's do text here. Alright, and I'm gonna align it this way. And wait, oh my bad, that's not it. Text box, and then I'm going to align it this way. Change the text to something like 99 or whatever number you want, and let's go to the font. Change that. If you have a custom font that you want to use, feel free to use that. I'm going to change this to, let's say, regular. The size, let's do something like 14 maybe. I do want an outline, so I'm just gonna give it an outline of 1. And what is this? Oh, that's why. There we go. Alright, that's better. Maybe it's a bit too big actually. I'll do 12 or 10 even. Yeah, I think 10 is fine. Or maybe we could do light. I think I'll use light, yeah. That looks nice to me. Alright, so here we have our item slot, so it will have a background, an icon, and the text for the amount of this item that we have. That's looking great. And I also want a, so now I'm gonna add, let's add another overlay. Add another overlay here, and add another image. And this image I'm going to call, let's say, hover image. So when you hover over the icon with your mouse, it's gonna display some cool effects. So let me bring these effects here. I'll put the link to it in the Discord, I guess. Yeah, you can find the material that I'm gonna use for the hover effect. You'll find that in the Discord. So let me just import that real quick. Alright, so now I should have a UI of, there we go. It's a material that I made, so as you can see, it's now glowing. So that's the effect that you're gonna get when you hover over an empty slot or a slot with something in it. You're gonna have this glow, which looks pretty nice, I think. I'm not an expert in making materials, so I'm not gonna show you how to make this. You'll have to find someone else to teach you how to make materials, because I suck at this. Anyway, so yeah, now we have this glowy thingy. Cool. That's looking nice. And I think that's pretty much it. So we are ready to actually go and make a C++ class for this. So let's go to the next widget. So we made a slot. So I'm going to make a new folder, call it grid, where we're going to use a grid to hold all the slots so they are neatly aligned properly and stuff. So yeah, let's make a new user widget, WBP. Let's call it inventory grid. Alright, and now inside the inventory grid, I'm going to add a size box. Let's use desired. I'm going to add an overlay. And I'm going to add a what is it called? Uniform grid panel. Here we go, and let's rename this to something like slot grid. Great. So we're gonna feed this grid with all the slot that we need. So let's say we need 10 slots for our UI, then we'll feed it with 10 slots so it can display it neatly. Great. So let's close this. I'm going to make another folder. I'm gonna call this one, let's do window. Let's make a new blueprint class, and let's find the user widget again. Alright, WBP, I'm gonna call this one, let's do player inventory. Alright, and in this one I'm gonna use a canvas panel. Alright, why use a canvas? Because then later that will allow us to drag the inventory UI around. So you'll be able to move it. So that's why I'm using this. Yeah. Next I'm going to add a size box. Let's do size box. Alright, and I'm going to call it, let's do window root. This is what we're gonna drag around, and let's give it a size. Let's say, also I want to anchor it. Let's do anchor on this side. Let's reset all of this. Alright, let's give it a size of let's do 700 by I don't know, 700. And now let's move it to minus 700 and minus 300, minus 800. Alright. So for now, when you press whatever the button you've chosen to open the inventory is, so when you press your, let's say I, for example, if I press I to open the inventory, then this will be our screen, and this is where it's gonna pop up. If you want it to be smaller or bigger, you can tweak this to your liking. I'm going to add an overlay on top of this. Great. Okay, and let's add an image. So the image, find it properly. I'm going to rename this to background image, and let's change the color. Let's do color opacity. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do 0.7 maybe to make it slightly transparent. Good. Let's add another overlay. In this one, I'm going to add a let's do a vertical box. Okay, and do another vertical box inside of it, and another one actually. Right, so we have two vertical boxes inside of it. Let's do fill and fill for both. Right, now we have two boxes. Great. Let me change this one to something like a 0.06. Yeah, that's perfect. Now I can add a let's do a text. Add a text box inside of it, and let's align it here. Fill, and I'm gonna name this. Let's do inventory. You can change the text color if you want to. Let's do something like this maybe. And the rest is fine. Yeah, I think the text size and everything is fine. later we can add a button here to close the inventory and stuff, but that's for later. And now let's take care of this box here. I'm going to add a grid. Where is it? This one, the WBP inventory grid that we created. So that's gonna go in here to fill. And let me maybe rename this to something like grid widget. Alright, so now we have the player inventory. So this is where all the UI and stuff. Oh, and one thing, I'm just going to add some padding here. Let's do, I don't know, 5 and 10. Yeah, some padding to it. Alright, so it's not too close to the border here. Anyway, so yeah, this will be the inventory. So that's where all the slots are gonna spawn. Alright, you're gonna fill this up. And we also have a slot that we created. Right now it has some default stuff in it. And we have a grid, which is going to contain all the slots. Well, right now it has nothing in it, so you can't really see it. But yeah, so we'll make some C++ class to drive all of this in the next tutorial. So I'm gonna stop here. Hope you liked. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Link for the Discord is in the description. I do have a Patreon if you want to support me there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye bye.